Hello everyone. The purpose of this particular video is to ensure that we end up giving you resume building tips, and this particular video I will try to keep it restricted to a perspective of a fresher. We have seen various colleges, we have seen various formats, and we have talked to various HR consultants and even the recruiters just to understand how does how should a resume look like as far as the structure of it is concerned. Various colleges have asked students to prepare a multiple page resume, even a 2-page, 3-page, 4-page resume which explains nearly all the project details, internship details, achievement details, but that's not something which HR guys from various organizations prefer. When you talk to HR consultants or when you talk to the HR departments as to what they like to see in a resume, they've more or less prescribed a single page format. We even browsed through the resumes of the top B schools to understand that sample resumes of even the top or rather Ivy League colleges of India is concerned, say probably an IIM Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Calcutta, or an FMS or an IFT or an SPGen, even all these people prepare a single page resume format. So that's going to be the base for our video, and for this single page CV format I would like to compartmentalize things so that it becomes easy for us to understand what is quantifiable and what is qualitative, and where do we attach that little sales pitch as an underlined statement. First things first, on that A4 size sheet, the top thing which is there is the name followed by mobile number and the email address. As far as the name is concerned, keep it a little bit more prominent. Say for example, if your whole CV is meant to be of a 10-point font size, keep it at 14. Don't do anything more to that. Don't add colors, don't make it a very weird in your face kind of a font. Don't try anything haphazard. Let your CV be more or less of nothing more than 2 or at max 3 font sizes. The first one, which has the name in it, there are people who have followed a left align for a name, and there are people who have followed a center align for a name, and both of them work absolutely fine. The larger purpose is to make the sheet of paper look presentable and neat. So first you write the name, just below that in the font size that you wish to maintain your whole CV, that is probably a 10 or an 11 font, just keep your mobile number and your mail ID there. What has been observed is that people try various kinds of things with the mobile numbers, that is going the US way and putting it as 990 and then 900 and 81 something something or something like that. They've tried all these things. Anything is fine. You put a 5 and 5, you put a +91 and put 433, or you put a 343, anything works. It's up to you. If you can identify some pattern in the number, fair enough. The next thing, as far as the mail ID is concerned, yes, obviously these are freshers, and we all know what our first mail ID looks like. So there are things which could be like a crazy frog or a cool dude rocks or something like that. These are very stupid things to put on a CV. Please make a formal mail ID. It looks good if you have a first name dot last name @gmail.com, first name dot last name, some number here and there @gmail.com or @hotmail, @Yahoo. All of these things work absolutely fine, but a formal mail ID is a necessity, because an informal one, while you want to go for an interview, while you sit in front of those people with that resume in their hands, you don't want to get embarrassed for what you did probably 8 to 10 years back. So that takes you to the first part or the first compartment of the resume. Let's keep it there. The second thing, always what employers like to look at, is the career objective. Now a very funny thing again, it's your career objective and you go and Google it. How stupid or how ironical is this, that I am supposed to express my career objective, and what I do, I go to Google, find the heaviest words possible and package it there. So I want to be a part of a team which is innovation based, strategy based, and I wish to contribute to the organization at a management level by putting theoretical and practical things both together. Just relax, not all of these things happen together. You are hardly a 19-20-year-old fresher. Look at entry level lines, look at making your own career objective. What people appreciate is the effort that has been put into the CV rather than the glamour factor or the cosmetic angle of the CV. So, I hope you guys are able to understand me in the fact that if people ask you for a career objective, go a little deep, think what you want to be. So, if you want to start in the manufacturing sector, or rather you want to get into the automobile sector, you want to get into power system distribution, you want to get into probably programming, you want to get into testing, you want to get into coding, you want to get into artificial intelligence, you want to get into probably mobile telephony, fair enough. Put in that little bit of effort in exactly knowing where do you want to start, and using simple words like to learn and grow, to grow with an organization, to learn the practices of a corporate as to how do they function and where do I fit in and grow through the corporate ladder. Such kind of very simple words, simple English, your vision is exactly what they look for. I have seen CVs on Google which have been copy pasted by kids here and there, and that looks like a 3.5 line career objective filled with jargons. No, a big no. Hold it to approximately 12-13 words, if possible a line and a half, and learn to stop it there. It's okay. It's a career objective of a fresher. I'm very sure organizations aren't judgmental just on the basis of that one line that you write there. So yes, the first compartment that we saw was your name, your mail ID and your mobile number. The second compartment that we saw is the career objective. Fair enough, crafted by you, drafted by you, and just for you. Makes sense. The next compartment is your educational qualification. Now here there is nothing absolutely to think about, it's actual quantifiable achievements that you've had till date, and it is not achievements, it's actually qualification. So when you put it there, it is 10 standard, okay, this much percentage, 12 standard, this much percentage, graduation, 7th semester going on, and CGPA till the 6th semester. You might want to put in a semester wise performance. If you want to do that, you might just want to put it as a bullet point. If you want to do that, some things which you might want to highlight here in a very subtle manner. So let's assume that my father has a transferable job. He probably serves the government, and he's in a bank, he's probably in the army, he's in the navy, I don't know what, but he has a transferable job. So he might, I might have had my schooling out of multiple places. So let's assume that my 10th is somewhere in Gujarat, my 12th is somewhere in Maharashtra, my graduation I'm doing it from somewhere in UP. Fair enough. So those 3 geographies there on the CV shows a lot of underlined things about me. The facts like, I am adaptable by nature, I can actually adapt to newer schools, newer colleges and still have a consistent performance. Now these are things that talk highly about you. So that is one thing which you might want to subtly indicate at, but otherwise this particular compartment which has 10th, 12th, graduation is meant to be just a black and white quantifiable field. However, just after that, you might want to write something like, in case you have done some certification courses. There are people who have pursued Oracle certifications, Google certifications, some of them who have attended Pro-E AutoCAD certifications, or probably somebody who knows the technicalities of MATLAB and PSpice and is comfortable with those softwares. There are people who have already built an app and they want to showcase that. There are people who have been involved with some other certification courses, be it some online certification courses which are available these days. They might want to put it as a small bullet point. There are some BCom kids who might have pursued a CA Inter, probably a CPT, probably they have completed a CS1. Now such kind of people might want to put it just as a small bullet point as a professional course apart from the graduation course which they have completed during the same time. So fair enough, that particular compartment still is nothing qualitative, but it's all quantitative about your educational qualification. After this, the next 2 compartments which are co-curricular achievements and extracurricular achievements are those which indicate how good you've been apart from just the systemic requirement of being a student. A co-curricular is exactly how it is defined as some requirements which are probably enlisted by your college as good achievements to have along with your course. So let's assume one of these certification courses, as I told you, or probably internships or projects that you do at your local places. Let's take some examples. Let's assume that I get an internship with any of the IT companies. I'm a computer IT engineer and I end up getting an internship with any of the top firms like probably an IBM or an Accenture or a TCS or an Infosys. I join these places, I end up getting a 6-week internship, sometimes I might end up getting a 6-month last year internship. You know, the problem with the 8th semester internship is that placements in various colleges start in the 7th semester itself. So, you can't claim that. So, what do you end up claiming? You end up claiming probably the break of the 5th semester, the break of the 6th semester internship in that particular CV. So, while you put in internships, just ensure that internships or projects have first of all the internship scope or the project scope in the first line. Second, the name of the organization with which you worked and the duration and the number of people who worked on the project. So, if you divulge the technical details in this manner as to the number of people, the duration of the project, the brand with which you worked, the scope and the technology used, you do end up having an all encompassed kind of a sales pitch for that particular project or for that particular internship. If I draw a very similar parallel to people who are BBA graduates or probably commerce graduates, they might end up getting exposure into somewhere for an accounts department, sometime probably they might be practicing market research, sometime they might be practicing back end operations as far as operations is concerned, organization HR is concerned, probably they might have even tried sales or marketing. All of these business functions, when they do, again the same details, the organization, the department with which they worked, the duration of the project, and here the technical aspects which they did. So, for example, if they did market research as a project, what all did they learn? If they did back end of an HR, just a line or a two about what was their specific contribution to the project, because that is what counts. Writing a much higher holistic picture of what the department vision was, it does not help you, because it is your internship, you are a fresher and you are just selling that small internship of probably a 2-month, 2-week, 3 weeks, 4-week internship. Here an organizational vision does not help as much as your vision about your project is concerned. So, these co-curriculars are how a college defines that you can have external exposure apart from the curriculum, but those things that make the CV points. Here some kids even try using school olympiads or probably a science olympiad or a maths olympiad, which they probably practiced during the 10th and the 12th standard, probably before that. Apart from that, certain presentation competitions, certain paper presentation competitions, some contraptions which they would have practiced during school, even business plan competitions that they go to. Any of these things which a college is trying to promote comes under co-curricular activities, and anything even slightly distantly related to education, yes please, this is the place to put it. While you put it, as I told you, remember that these details should get covered. The next compartment is of extracurricular activities, and extracurriculars broadly people nowadays classify it as either the leadership positions held in college or voluntary positions held in college or sports or culturals in which they have either participated at college level or represented college at a much greater level. Either which ways, let me divulge into certain details. The first of which is the leadership positions held. So, let us assume that you have a very strong technical committees in your college. So, there could be a student activity committee, there could be an academic committee, there could be an ISTE, there could be an IEEE, there could be IETE, there could be something like a Robocon, which is more of a technical compendium. All those, every college is known for a couple of technical or non-technical committees at which they are able to leave an impact much beyond the college level. So, yes, such kind of things which come in, you can claim that there. So, leadership could include things like general secretary of the college, sports secretary, cultural secretary, or any such leadership positions held either at a college level or at that department level or at that committee level. All the three things should go in there. The next thing that I told you is sports. So, any sport, a lot of times sport just does not mean sport. Certain of them are, let's get into examples. Let's talk about people playing cricket at probably a university level, or football at some college level, university level, chess at some state level, national level. So, if you have rankings or these kind of stuff about sports, put it there. While you put in these sports and these leadership positions, ensure that approximately 4 different things are visible in that bullet point. So first things first, if I want to say, I will say achieved position 2, or I will say secured second position, or I would say won, or I would say champion, or I would say finished on the podium, or something like that, where the first word indicates what did I do. So I can say I qualified for something, I said I got selected for something, I can say I was elected for something. So such kind of strong words indicate where do I reach. The moment I say secured second position, okay, now I have to give other details. In probably if I say mood indigo. So when I say mood indigo, I am talking about IIT Bombay, and that is so visible. If for example such a big event isn't present there, I might just name any other event, say probably XYZ at XYZ college in this particular year. So I need to show the year, I need to show the college, I need to give the name of the event, and I need to give the position which has been secured, and starting with a verb which indicates what have I done. So probably assessed, achieved, received, elected, selected, earned, secured. And such kind of words really talk highly of you, because that's the right selection of a word which makes you, put that particular achievement at the right pedestal. Similarly, once that we are done with those college leadership positions and sports, the next is culturals. So if I talk about culturals, if you let's assume that you've been trained for Bharatanatyam for 7 years and you've finished your Arangetram, or probably you are a musician who's been practicing for so many years and has completed the 7-year certification as well. So such kind of things when you have on your CV, it talks highly about your cultural achievements also. So probably dance is fine, music is fine, even folk dances are fine, classical dances are fine, Hindustani music is fine. You just name it and you can put it there, but it should just be something which is a little beyond a personal level kind of an achievement. So representing a school, 10th, 11th, 12th, representing college, those 4 years, representing a district, representing a state, representing a nation, all these things should find a place there. And only one thing, while you look at all those 7 or 8 points which you have put in there in the extracurriculars, it should ideally be in the descending order of the range that it covers. So for example, the first point should ideally be something international, second point should be something national, third point could be a state or a university level, the fourth point could be a college level, fifth point could be your school being represented at district level, the next could be school. Yes, so in that order when it comes, it's so easy for an interviewer or the recruiter to actually look at your CV and make great sense out of what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and what does your larger personality looks like. Exactly. So this ends the extracurricular section. Please don't keep loose ends. Don't say practice Bharatanatyam for 7 years. If possible, give in more details, that is starting from 2002 to 2009. Okay, now this looks fine. So something that gives a greater perspective of every point is what you should be looking at. So yes, redefining the compartments till now, the first one was your name, the second one was the career objective, third was the quantifiable educational qualification, fourth was co-curriculars, fifth was extracurriculars. Now that this is done, the last of which people do like putting in some personal information, they like to put in the passport details, probably they like to put in the language is known, because yes, that also certain organizations like. So for example, if you say that you know 5 languages, 4 languages, that makes you geographically lesser dependent, that could be an indirect way of saying that I am fine working in the south. So for example, if I know Tamil, I know Hindi, I know English, and I know Gujarati, people know that at least I can go to 5, 6 different states if given an opportunity. Exactly like that, that could be an indirect way of telling something. And the last point that people like to put in is hobbies and interests. Hobbies and interests, please feel free to put put whatever that you want to the extent that a better definition always helps. So for example, if I say I like reading books, better if I put in as saying reading philosophical books, reading psychological books, reading about Indian history, reading fiction, absolutely fine, but define it a little better and in a manner that this gives a small hint to an interviewer, a little bit more of a clarity about you rather than keeping it hanging. Listening to music, again it's such a huge umbrella. Say listening to old Hindi songs, probably a better umbrella, a smaller umbrella, but yes, even bigger one in its perspective. But for you to understand, the more precise the definition, precise is the discussion inside the interview. And we all know one thing, that resume reaches the interviewer much before you reach the interview. So for example, if there is a CV lying there, given the human nature, I would open the CV. Let's assume I'm the HR consultant. I'll go through those points and I would have already made those minor judgments about you. Exactly what I'm telling you. Please be absolutely careful. Use the right language. And now, as far as formatting standards are concerned, possible, maintain small margins around all the 4 places. Around a 0.5 inch margin makes sense. As far as fonts are concerned, try not to have a lot of fonts. That name was one separate font, probably a 14 font. Those headings, that is educational qualification, co-curriculars, extracurriculars, can go up to 12 and you can just bold it. And probably all the points which are there inside should be bullet points. And those bullet points should ideally be, not bolded, normal font, and probably 10 or 11. Go for some standard fonts like probably a Vardhana or a Times New Roman or an Arial. That helps. And while you do those compartments, those 5 or 6 compartments can be separated through a straight line. That makes a clear idea about how should the compartments in a CV looks like. Please ensure that your language is absolutely polished, the right words are used, and if possible get it reviewed by those good friends of yours who might have a better control over English. Because this is your first foot inside the interview, get it right. That's all that I have to say about the resume building. Best wishes and have a good placement season. Thank you.